Yeah, Bernie's private messages on Israel was also fucking terrible too. I didn't get a chance to talk about it either, but I mean, look, Andrew Cuomo, here's with audio, okay? Andrew Cuomo is at a Hampton synagogue talking about how he lost because Jews voted for Zoran.
Was a shock to me.
Hold on, I gotta pee.
I never saw it coming, frankly, and I lost, and it's embarrassing to lose, and it hurts to lose, and the way it happened was even worse, because all the polls had me up 15 points. And all the geniuses say, you know, you're up 15 points, you want to play it safe, and he was nowhere on the radar screen, Mamdani, just nowhere on the radar screen. So we played it safe. I didn't engage him, I didn't debunk him enough, I wasn't aggressive enough, which is really ironic, because all my life I'm too aggressive, I'm too combative, I'm too tough. And then on election day, there was an historic turnout that nobody has ever seen anything like it. There was an explosion of the under 30 vote. Under 30 white socialists who voted 3, 4, 5 times what anyone had ever seen. And that totally changed the numbers. There were about 100,000 young under 30 who had never voted before. I lost by 100,000 votes, 400,000 to 500,000. The young people who came out, they were socialists and they were pro-Palestinian. And I would wager that in that primary, more than 50% of the Jewish people voted for Mamdani.
Yep. This is the first time anyone has even recognized that Zoran won the Jewish vote in the most Jewish city after Tel Aviv. Okay? With the largest Jewish population.
More than 50%. Because with those young people, the under 30 people, they are pro-Palestinian and they don't consider it being anti-Israel. I am, as you know, 100% supportive.
No, they do. Plenty do. The difference is they just don't have an issue with being anti-Israel. Because why should they? Why would they? It's a fucking state, dude. It is a state, and it's a Nazi state, as a matter of fact. That's the point. No, maybe in the first couple of months after October 7, there were a lot of people who were like, oh, I just, I'm not anti-Israel, but also I think, maybe Israel is doing some war crimes. But we've pushed past that point at this juncture. We are so far behind. Like, especially depending on who you're talking to. What if this genocide thing is all in your head, though? Great question. Don't think Trump or the UK like genocides or killing babies seem unlikely. Maybe you're just mistaken. Yeah, no, totally. Trump hates genocides. You're right. My moral compass is Donald Trump. If Donald Trump doesn't think this is a genocide, then it must not be. Thank you. Or the UK, which is even funnier. They do love child murder, first of all. They love it. Our entire countries were designed around it. 13 colonies for the UK, America, indigenous genocide. We did it. The difference is we did it hundreds of years ago, whereas Israel's doing it right now in broad daylight, in real time, and you can watch it unfold. And you can talk to the people who are literally victims of it. There's a horrible counter argument, chatter. Anyway, welcome back to the internet. Don't you miss the break? No. I mean, I expected this. I expected to be here. I expected to come back. I think I'm dealing with the ridiculous reactions coming from people much better. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the planet. I'm happy to be back. I love my job. I am the most fortunate person on the planet in terms of being able to communicate my perspective to tens of thousands of people every single day. And you know, that's it. I'm happy. I'm glad that I took a break, though. It definitely helped.
Of Israel, I went out and I spoke to that. I spoke to that everywhere. That's my tradition. It was my father before me. I was the most aggressive governor in the United States on behalf of Israel. I was the first against BDS. We did a number of trade missions back and forth. We have the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, and I was proud to be the strongest advocate. But many, especially younger people, don't consider saying anti-Israel is different than being anti-Semitic. Being anti-Israel to them means anti-Bibi's policies.
Okay. These guys are playing catch up, okay? This is the broad point, though. Yes, being anti-Israel means being anti-Benjamin Netanyahu's policies. That is definitely the most common attitude. We have a different opinion on this, okay, in this community, and it is important for you to understand that you are still at the cutting edge of this discourse, and people will inevitably arrive at your position, but it does not matter if you want to understand what people's actual attitude is. Yes, there are a lot of people who are fuck Israel, but when they say like, "Oh, I don't like Israel. I don't like what Israel's doing," they don't have like a real theoretical or real like fully fleshed out ideological disagreement with Zionism being like a fascist ideology. That's not. You have that opinion because you watch me. You have that opinion because you have done at least some level of reading into the matter. It's entirely separate from most people's opinion. Most people just go, why are we giving money to these guys? I don't like it. I don't get it. And also, yeah, this is a incredibly bloody affair. I don't want to be a part of this. And there are a lot more people now that certainly recognize that it's a genocide. Okay. So just understand that, like, you are at the bleeding edge of discourse. Most people's attitude on this is killing is bad. Killing children is wrong. I don't like to see dead children. I don't really like it. But my expectation from the likes of AOC, for example, is to read the room and see where the trajectory is for discourse and be ahead of it and be a leader. Be a leader that actually moves people in that direction, because that is beneficial for her in the long run anyway, because people will remember that AOC was in the front lines on this issue, okay? And the fact that she's not there, on this is crazy to me, especially at a time like this when you can say, I'm against the principle, I'm against Israel, I'm against what they're doing, and then and not get punished for it.
Anti-Israel government policies. And they are. And they were highly motivated, and they came out to vote. And that totally distorted what was expected. And in many ways, it was a national wave that has been building. This socialist wave in the Democratic Party, this AOC, Bernie Sanders going across the country, the No Kings, brought out hundreds of thousands of young people at rallies all across the country, basically fueled by anti-Trump. But anti-Trump then fits with socialism, then fits with pro-Palestinian, and he was the perfect vehicle for this under 30 wave.
I mean, he is incredibly reactionary. Like, the No King stuff is like socialist is hilarious. Obviously, like, he sounds like a Republican because he is a Republican, okay? Anyway, at Hampton Synagogue this morning, Andrew Cuomo said he didn't debunk Mamdani enough. Cuomo added that Mamdani got more than 50% of the Jewish vote. David Grossman says, assuming this is true, what would it mean if a clear majority of Jewish voters in the most Jewish city in America, in the traditional Jewish party, voted for a candidate who the Jewish establishment orgs told them was anti-Semitic? Hard to think of a more forceful rejection. You don't even need the majority in this situation. Okay? Even if you got like 40% or 30% of the Jewish vote, that's still incredibly, that is an incredible, that is a incredible debunking of the fucking narrative that like the Jewish orgs that are invested primarily in defending Israel unconditionally in this time and in this day and age have any sort of real motion amongst the Jewish voter base in the Democratic Party, which, remember, the Democratic Party, 75-25 votes. The Jewish vote goes 75-25 historically to the Democratic Party. Okay. That's it. So when we talk about the Democrats being 80-20 on giving weapons to Israel or recognizing the genocide that Israel is doing, we're talking about a whole lot of Jews too. Okay. That's it. 75% of Jews historically vote for the Democratic Party. Regardless. During the primary, I was careful to say what polling showed, that Cuomo had 30% of the Jewish vote and Mamdani had 20%. For Cuomo to claim he lost the outright majority is a pretty huge shift. It speaks to what has been happening gradually over the last decade, now accelerated by Gaza, that Cuomo could even claim this speaks to a Jewish vote that has broken dramatically with institutional Judaism, with Israel as a clear fault line. I mean, dude, look at this community. We have a fuck ton of Jews in this community. Okay? There is a generational split here. I've been saying this since October 7. Okay? There is a generational split, and it's not different for Jews either. Okay? That's it. That's it. This is not about Judaism. No matter how hard Israel and Israel defenders try to claim that this is all about protecting and preserving Judaism, Israel is the only way to preserve and protect Jews all around the world. That's a lie, okay? No matter how much people wishcast that into oblivion, it is very clear that young Jews, just like everyone else, have seen the death and the destruction and have made up their own minds. And they're like, I don't want this to be a part of my identity. It's perfectly understandable to not want to be associated with a fucking neo-Nazi enterprise like the State of Israel. That's it. It's crazy. Nelk went on full damage control for hosting Netanyahu and are currently on live pleading with their fans, and some of their fans asked them to talk to Fuentes, and he pounced on the opportunity to send their platforming literal Nazi opposition to Netanyahu DM Steiny. I know. Steiny's been blowing up my phone since the BB interview took place. But I haven't had time to respond. But I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him when I have time. Not just young Jews. Did you see the interview with Mandy Patinkin and his wife? Brought me to tears. Yes. Yes. They're not going to have Nicholas Fuentes on, dude. Don't be ridiculous. All right. Tarek Kenny Shawah says, my friend Shabarex and El Gindi, Dylan Saba, and Khaled El Gindi, and others have explained at length why the Iron Dome is essential to Israel's shield of impunity. What I find insane is that one could call what Israel's doing in Gaza a genocide and still vote to fund their military in the same breath. If you believe Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza, and that is the word AOC has used, giving even a single dollar to the military committing the genocide is an explicit act of support. Cutting a genocidal entity off from any type of funding / support should be the bare minimum, which is the truth. That is the truth. It is bare minimum. It is bare minimum. It's ridiculous. Hold on. Bro, Steiny is talking to Nick right now. What do you mean you doubt it? Oh my God. That's so fucking, oh God, it's over. It's a fucking entire generation of little neo-Nazis that are going to prop up left and right. Jesus fucking Christ. They asked me to go on their live stream and I was like, I didn't respond because I was fucking working. God. AOC voted to still fund new 500 mil to Israel. What do you say about that? Brother, are you not listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth? There is no funding to Israel, okay? That is, like, if you want to be any politician that comes across as earnest, you cannot say on the one hand that Israel's doing a genocide, and then on the other hand, you go, and the genocidal nation still has civilians in it, and we have to defend them. Okay? It doesn't work that way. Because the more you give aid to Israel in defensive aid or even financial aid or any sort of aid, the more Israel can operate with impunity. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's that fucking simple. That's it. To be clear, should not vote for the funding. Doesn't make our stupid and bad vote any better. I think that if you're not gonna vote for the funding, for you to come out and take a decision like this one makes it even dumber against one of the amendments. Okay? Like, that makes it even dumber overall. That shows terrible political instincts. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. That's it. You're ultimately not even fucking... And then on top of that, to come out and defend it too, and to be like, Israel has a right to defend itself, is ridiculous. No, it does not. It does not. It does not. It does not. If they want to defend themselves, they can do so with their own fucking weapons. We've already given enough. Okay? The idea that, like, Israel has a right for us to defend it whenever it does incredibly violent things to every other country in the region is fucking insane. It's not, it's just so beyond the pale. It is such a ridiculous fucking thing to say. He's a madman. Trump's team frets about Netanyahu after Syria strikes. Bibi acted like a madman. Oh, welcome back, Brandon, by the way. Welcome back, Joe Brandon. The Brandonization of the Trump administration is complete, by the way. Here it is. He's a madman. Trump's team frets about Netanyahu after Syria strikes. So funny that Tucker Right has its own helpless, fuming, concerned Trump alternative universe. And like what the MSNBC said, it's laundered via Barack Ravid. The bipartisan myth that Netanyahu is manipulating your guy is essential to maintaining partisan delusions and national innocence. That's it. That's it. The notion that, like, Israel is simply duping our big, beautiful boys... Israel is simply duping our big, beautiful boys is fucking stupid, okay? The idea that Israel is duping our big, beautiful boys is fucking ridiculous. That we are somehow infallible, that America would do the right thing in this situation if it wasn't for, like, depending on what level of conspiracy you believe, pedophile blackmail operations or whatever that Mossad is conducting, or the fact that there's just, like, too much money that they're giving to American congresspersons. Like, that's not the case. These guys either A, don't give a shit, or B, like it. okay? Israel does not jump without us saying jump. Israel says how high when we say jump. Now, over the course of the past couple of decades, post 9/11, I would say that Israel has slowly but surely taken up more space in the decision-making process, okay? But it's ultimately still our attack dog. That does not change the dynamic even one bit, because these decisions, these like messaging bills matter for that reason. Because if we were to shut off Israel's weapons, it's over. Tomorrow, they're the most peaceful nation on the fucking planet. Do you understand? That's it. That's it. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says President Trump was caught off guard by the Israeli bombings in Syria and on the church in Gaza and spoke to Netanyahu in both cases and asked him to rectify things. Fucking bullshit. Oh, man. Oh, dude. The Brandonization is complete. Is Israel like a U.S. client state then? Israel is an extension of the United States. Israel is more than a client state. It's basically just a state. But having said that, Israel has slowly but surely, especially accelerated under the Biden administration and continued under the Trump administration, or I would say it accelerated under the Trump administration Trump 1, has taken the driver's seat and is now leading American Middle Eastern policy as opposed to simply being a vessel or a vehicle for America's interests in the region. Okay? In the past, it was a U.S. proxy, and slowly but surely, because of its importance, bad take, cutting off weapons is not going to stop their bloodlust. They will easily turn on someone else and continue by their own means. Peace is not in their vocabulary. That's not true. This is the most idiotic argument of all time. If that was the case, Israel wouldn't spend billions of dollars manufacturing consent in American media and also through all of these like groups, all of these like advocacy groups. You're out of your fucking mind. You are delusional. America has supplied Israel 70% of all defensive and offensive weapons used since October 7 have been supplied by the United States of America. Without us, Israel would not be able to do anything. Okay? You are deluding yourself. There is no one else Israel could go to. And in such a short period of time, as a matter of fact. No one. It is ridiculous. We are the country that allows Israel to be as violent as possible. And this is a lie that people tell to themselves. Oh, it wouldn't stop their bloodlust. Okay, then we'll fucking invade. Okay? Because I've explained this a million times over. First, it starts with boycott, divestments, and sanctions. Okay? Let's say America says, we're stopping offensive weapons transfers to Israel. You have to stop. Israel says, we're not going to stop. All of a sudden, they don't have enough weapons. How are they going to continue? But let's say they still have enough in their stockpile, and they continue doing this after we said stop. Then come the sanctions, economic sanctions that Israel would choke the Israeli economy without constant American aid, without constant American intervention in the Israeli market. It's over, right? And let's say they still continue. They say, no, we have so much bloodlust. Okay? We have to kill more Palestinians. It doesn't matter. We'll kill ourselves. Okay. Once the full crippling sanctions come in and they still don't stop, then you invade. It's that simple. Okay? The first step in this process is boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. It's that simple. What happened? I don't know what took place. It was a weird graphical glitch. Purple screen. Okay. Regardless. Listen to my words, okay? Listen to my words. It never has to get to that point anyway. Hold on. I'm tracking the errors as well. I hope you guys understand. This is the reality. Reagan called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Bain. No, I know. That part doesn't even matter. Yes, in the past, America has also, even Joe Biden has actually stopped Israel's bloodlust in the past. It's ridiculous to say that this is not the same dynamic still doesn't exist. Joe Biden in 2001 stopped Israel's siege with one phone call. Okay, with one phone call. That's all it took. Anyone who acts as though Israel can continue this genocide without American and Western support is deluded, is lying to themselves. Okay, you are lying to yourselves. I don't know why, but it's just not the truth. Oh, 2021. Sorry, did I say 2001? Joe Biden stopped Israel's siege in 2021 with one phone call. That's all it took. Ronald Reagan did the same. George H.W. Bush did the same. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. The idea that we are so powerless, we're so utterly powerless in the face of Israel is ridiculous. Israel is the ultimate American client state. Their entire military apparatus and government are relying on the United States. No other major country except maybe Egypt is that relying on the U.S. in the same way. Israel's a proxy, except we barely even bother to do oversight on that proxy anymore. People often mistake that for capture of the U.S. government. It's beyond that. Okay? It's not just that Israel is a client state or a proxy that we no longer barely do oversight over. We have never really done oversight over, and Israel has at times actually greatly overstepped its boundaries, like USS Liberty, for example. But the reason why we kind of allow that is because of the importance that Israel holds for American interests in the region, whether it's a Cold War ally that we desperately need to make sure that we fucking squash and stamp out any sort of like pan-Arabic nationalism that might actually manifest itself in the region that could turn into, dare I say, socialist policies and allegiance to the USSR. These were all incredibly important historical reasons as to why we have allowed Israel to overstep and do things that no other country, no other client state would be allowed to do. Now it's different. After years and years and years of propaganda and advocacy groups taking root in American society, Israel's gotten far too comfortable. Israel also now is directly in the driver's seat. Okay? Instead of the American State Department telling Israel, like, it's okay if you do a little bit of violence here, but, you know, cut it out now. Israel is now in the driver's seat. Israel is basically, post 9/11, telling America, this is what you need to do. And America's going, yep, that's right. That's what we're going to do. What is this? You covered it well. How many countries support Israel? They could avoid the sanctions by receiving a sub from other countries so they no longer see the ads and continue the... Okay, dude, Jesus Christ. Please explain this thought process. Financially supporting groups that topple Assad in Syria, bomb Syria because it's helping Hezbollah, Iran, topple Assad after 10 plus year struggle and war, appoint a Western puppet president that will do our bidding, still, question mark, still bomb Syria. Yes. That's what I mean. Israel is fucking up the bag for America. Like, them doing this again. Oh, it glitched again? Okay, it's, guys, the IRL Toolkit servers are eating. They're getting pummeled, okay? The IRL Toolkit servers are getting pummeled. This is the best possible option that we have at our disposal currently. In any case, hold on. Interestingly, no audio loss at all. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, the idea that like America has no control over Israel is completely fucking ridiculous. It is a lie that people tell themselves. It is a lie that people tell others for some fucking weird reason. Not sure exactly why people tell this lie. It's I mean, I do know why people tell this lie. It's a way to basically wash our hands of the morality of the situation, to claim that basically, Israel's just doing all this and we're just simply powerless in the face of all of the casual cruelty that Israel demonstrates with regular frequency. But it's not the case at all. It's a way to fucking deny moral culpability. Okay. And it is not true. It is completely not true. And it's not true when the Chuck Schumer and the Brandon and the Kamala Harrises of the world try to fucking make this claim. It's not true when like Ethan Klein tries to say this fucking idiotic bullshit. And it's certainly not true when Trump is president either. Okay? We are trying to dodge accountability. That's all this is. That's also another clear-cut indication that you're talking to someone who is like, running on patriotic fumes, which is why it's such a good... it's such a successful way to propagandize. That's why Nazis get a lot of play on this, or even Tucker Carlson gets a lot of play on this, where it's like, oh, our politicians are actually simply being manipulated into taking these decisions, or Israel would do this regardless. Like, these are all different ways in which people try to lie to themselves in order to wash their hands of this. But that's precisely the reason why, like, anti-Semites get a decent foothold in this discourse, because they can always claim like, no, America would never do this. Israel simply has figured out a way to manipulate American politicians by blackmail or whatever, it's just fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. Here's Adam Johnson. As I noted 2 years ago when Dems voted for Saudi defensive weapons, there is no such thing as supporting illegitimate military campaigns with defensive weapons. It makes no sense, and we know this because no one who claims to do so supports giving Russia or Iran an Iron Dome. In November 2021, when Biden White House announced it would sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, it insisted it was okay because they were defensive. A Human Rights Watch report on Saudi death squads targeting Ethiopian migrants shows how those defensive trainings and arms were used. There is no such thing as defensive weapons for a country that is engaging in an offensive genocide, okay? Just like you would never make this advocacy for giving Iran an Iron Dome, there are civilians there. Just like you would never actually make this advocacy for Russia getting an Iron Dome, there are civilians there. Ukrainian drones are pummeling Moscow, you know what I mean? Like, how fucking ridiculous. Ironically enough, Israel stopped Ukraine from getting a fucking Iron Dome when Russia was pummeling Ukraine, and Ukraine is our proxy. So get the fuck out of here. From a clinical standpoint, Zoran showed that you can totally avoid spats online by just never mentioning or explaining moderation. When he left his shift on policing unstated, nobody cared. While writers who explicitly said they liked what he was doing got pilloried. When you just avoid bringing up sore spots with your supporters, it puts the impetus on others to start an outrage cycle, which often is perceived as wrecker behavior and pisses people off. But when you light the spark yourself, it gets rid of that barrier entirely. This is a technical argument that Edinger Mentum is making that is absolutely correct. And the simplest way to do this is never engage with the online left. Just don't do it. So it's double stupid. Not only was her vote on the amendment, the vote no on the amendment was wrong and dumb, but then turning around and consistently elevating like leftist voices that are criticizing you is additionally dumb. You should never do that, even when you're in the wrong, like in this case. Okay? If I was in AOC's corner right now, if I was one of her campaign staffers, I'd be like, please do not under any circumstance tweet. Okay? Do not respond. Do not read any of the fucking replies. Just do not respond, because that also elevates the story. that also makes it worse. And I say this as someone who is a leftist voice that constantly gets fucking pilloried by other members of the left all the time. It does not matter. Only time will show your true motivations. And the reality of the matter is, in this circumstance, her true motivations are on the wrong, okay? Not only is it wrong policy, it's immoral, but it's also wrong politically as well. But you should stop tweeting about the left regardless. Because it only makes it worse. So don't listen to criticism. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Don't listen to criticism, okay? Because your criticism in this situation is warranted, but in 99% of the situations is not fucking warranted, okay? That's it. It's just bad across the board. Like, think about it. The optics of her centering herself during one of the worst mass starvation events over the weekend. How does she think this makes this shit better? Exactly. Exactly. It's the number one thing you should not do. It's the number one thing you should not do. You should never. Of course, not making dumb decisions like funding Israel is the first step here. There's no way out of criticism if your choices don't even make sense from an electoral perspective. But in other areas where there are obvious trade-offs, the critics can often be very inconsistent. Exactly. Like, AOC has called it a genocide before many other members of Congress, okay? Openly on the floor of the Congress. That's important. Okay, that should not be discounted. But this action right here goes directly against that, because this action right here is in the aftermath of other people also arriving at her position, her early position. Her earlier position that it was a genocide is the correct position. So then when you turn around and you're like, but defensive weapons are a necessity because we need to avoid further bloodshed, is ridiculous. That's it.